Welcome to Hot Topics in International Trade, brought to you by Bromiller Law Group and Bromiller Consulting Group.
Hi, this is Bob Brewer with Bromiller Law Group and Bromiller Consulting Group. Welcome to the podcast with me once again, Eiyack
Thank you for having me.
Cacho Ayala.
There we go.
Now, you guys remember we did a podcast, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, kind of introducing Eiyack, and since then, he just sat down and told me, hey, I passed the bar.
There we go.
So tell us a little bit about that. I mean, we were just chatting a little bit how I thought maybe that like nerves are just racked with that. You're saying you were pretty relaxed.
I think I'm more nervous about the podcast than the exam, actually.
I was like, damn, there's so much on the line there. Nothing's on the line here. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
But one of the things that Eiyack brought up to me recently was interesting because we touched on this in your introduction about the fear factor involved with AI.
Correct.
And what's going around with the students at your university and many others across the nation. Now, I did a little research on this, too, since you brought it up with me. And Harvard Kennedy School did a poll, and they found that 70% of students view AI as a threat to their job.
That's a lot.
I know.
And that's Harvard students,
yeah,
too.
we see it in the news, too. Like when I woke up this morning, they were talking about that Coinbase had 700 layoffs. You know, I mean, engineers are using AI that could complete with, I think, tasks, but it's not really taking over the jobs. In some industries, though, they're saying it is because an engineer can do what with AI in like one day that it took a team to do weeks.
Correct.
That's kind of going on in different industries. But you and I are going to be specific, though, about law.
Correct.
And kind of put some minds at ease. And forget about the Gemini and Crypto.com and some others, its layoffs. This is I think, coming out of somebody that sit there tapping the keys with HTML and coding and all that. That's where the jobs are going by the wayside. And AI is taking over. This is a transformation. So you and I are going to talk about becoming one with it, sort of.
Correct.
You know, so give us the lowdown. Give us your impression of really where college students need to think about this.
I think, like you said, you're correct on the study. I think reflects a reality of what we're seeing in college campuses and law schools in particular. I have a lot of friends that they say, I went into coding, I went into AI to kind of because they told me that my job would be protected. And those are the first jobs that seem to be going with AI because they have the skill to automate their own jobs. And once you automate your own job, you're basically coding yourself out of the profession. But I don't think at least that hasn't been my experience this first few months working with the firm, that I don't think that's happening with lawyers. And I think there's maybe an increased visibility in the profession because there's so much, the profession is so old. It's thousands of years old, and many people have had interacted with it in some way, shape, or form that, people have their own opinions on, law school students, law school career, what an attorney is and what they do. And I think they get a lot of news about AI. We're, bombarded with news about AI that, I was the first one to receive that kind of idea of like, you might want to
reconsider.
Yeah. And we get that a lot. Inside the classroom, outside the classroom, I think a lot of people get that kind of advice or get that kind of maybe worry from family members who are not in the profession.
Right.
So I wanted to give kind of my opinion after a few months working in the firm and kind of put those minds at ease.
Yeah, I mean, I was even reading too a National Law Review. They just went out to 85 legal professionals and found that it was something like 58% believe AI will not replace entry-level lawyers. Within 5 years, like they say, within 5 years.
Yeah.
But illegal industry employment data shows no mass layoffs. That's key. So it's throughout that it comes in. What on that first rung though is it actually helping to, I guess, assist with?
Yeah.
Where some people think, oh no, it's taking my place. No, it's not. It's an assist. Wrap yourself around it. Schools aren't really bringing up the AI curriculum, though, like a lot of students would like to see it. Well, then let's go. Bring those courses into the curriculum, and I'll be more than happy to participate and have a lot better feeling about where I'm going once I graduate.
Yeah, and I think you have both sides of it. You have the substantive law part of a law school curriculum, and then you have the procedural part of how to use AI to answer legal questions, to deal with different matters that come up. And I think law school maybe is too focused on trying to bring up the substantive law part, but we're not really looking at what happens inside the classroom. I know, my own experience. I began law school in 2022, and nobody even talked about AI.
Yeah.
And then in 2023, we were frowned upon using AI. It was like,
You were cheating.
don't use it.
Yeah.
And then by the end of law school, they're looking for ways of trying to bring that into the curriculum because they understand it's a technology that is going to stay, that it's happening, that is going to impact the way we do our jobs, but I don't think it's going to replace our jobs.
Yeah. So let's talk about that for a minute. All these students out there listening to what you're saying in there. Well, give me an idea then on a daily basis how you're using it.
Sure. So I think there's ways that, well, first of all, you have to understand that there's like places you can't go with AI. Mm-hmm. There's a case, United States versus Hepner that came down in February 2026 that essentially is not attorney based. It was the defendant looking, into AI and using those documents to go to the attorney. And the court said that that wasn't okay, that wasn't protected by attorney confidentiality. So there are spaces that you need to be worried, that you need to be, and as an attorney, you have to be, you need to have those present. But there's a lot of administrative work. There's a lot of procedural work, a lot of data mining that happens more than I was expecting actually when I went into
there's a lot of that goes
a lot of data mining that goes through in the job that AI can assist you with. So I think those are some ways that I'm using AI to kind of like try to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah. It just reminds me of when I was in college, and this is like ages of, the horse and buggy.
You look young.
No, I'm just saying. I'll never forget this because the question, what's rolling through my mind right now as you talk about this is the teachers, the professors. When's the last time you were actually working within a law firm?
Yeah.
Hello? Because I remember my copywriting teacher standing up there and he's having us write copy for like one of these Green Giant or one of these. I said, it's not going to happen, dude. And he goes, what are you talking about, Mr. Brewer? And I said, we're going to be junior copywriters if we even can get a job within a large firm that has these $800 million accounts. We're not going to come anywhere near that.
Yeah.
That's all senior writers. And he's like, if you know so much, then why don't you teach the class? I'm like, sorry, I didn't mean to offend you.
I don't know that much.
But I just stood up and I said, look, everybody just listen to me for just a second. I said, how many of you in here have stepped foot into a large law firm? And not one of them. I said, well, I'm not bragging, but my job was mail boy at Leo Burnett Advertising, one of the largest ad agencies, down in Chicago. Get off the IC train and go right up and go to work. But I got to talk to everybody. My sister worked in the media department. It was Karen Brewer's little brother, Bobby. I'm shooting the shit with everybody, learning and learning and learning. So I said, let's do this. Let's take a field trip. And we got on a bus and we went down there and I had 3-on-1. They all bought these people lunch in the departments that they wanted. And it was so eye-opening. Because my teacher even told me that afterwards.
Yeah.
It was the first time he'd stepped foot in an actual ad agency after 30 years.
Yeah.
And I said one more thing to him. I said, how many of you think you're going to go into creative? And they said, like 60% of the hands went up. I said, did you know that Leo Burnett has 4 girls down the street in a separate office that do nothing but they look through portfolios?
Okay.
You're not going to step foot in an ad agency the size of Burnett without produced work, which comes from another ad agency.
Yeah.
It's a stepping stone. You're not going to just walk in with a portfolio and blow them away. They've got produced work with people with 5 years of experience who are willing to take an entry-level job. That's the reality, the hard part, I think, when it comes into professors and not really knowing, like what you're doing on a daily basis right now. Sit down with them. Have a conversation with them, I think. Talk to your teachers and say, look, I saw this podcast with this guy, and he's talking, this is who I want to be. And then you even said, at a boutique, you're going to learn a heck of a lot more, a lot faster. There's no hand-holding here, and AI is really helping me out, especially on the research side. Talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, I think, again, like you have to be careful with what you can't put client information into those public-facing AI mechanisms, but research questions in the background, senior attorneys, partners, they ask you for things, and they kind of expect you to know that background knowledge of what the law is in that specific area. And even though you went to school for, 3 years, 2 of those years might have been specializing in your field, you're not as current as you could be for all the reasons that you stated.
Right.
This is specifically like right now, international trade is such a dynamic field at the moment that sometimes you do need AI to, start that research. And I think in that part, some professors especially like the younger generation is trying to take that into account, and they allow you to and they promote you start using AI in your research. But kind of going with the topic of the segment, I don't think that is nearly enough to take over
it's almost like having a mock-up.
Yeah.
Like let's talk about, let's say you get handed this account. Now you're expecting to do a lot of the legwork in the very beginning on this, and you guys should be doing projects that are based on that. This is the expectation from this got handed down to you from, let's say, a partner or a senior associate. And here's the expectations. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And your job is to use AI.
Yeah.
All right. And that's the kind of thing. And then you go through this, basically look it over and say, now keep in mind, AI is even disclaiming, check your resources.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. We're never going to get over the fact that it hallucinated.
Yeah.
And somebody else had to apologize to the court recently.
Yep.
None of which was true based on what they had in discovery, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, we get that. But with AI learning, I mean, quite frankly, you can teach it.
Yeah.
And when I did the presentation to the firm recently, and I used all the 4 AI different chatbots and stuff, and it came up with, it was a Copilot. Got it wrong. No, we're not writing 8 to 10 articles annually.
Yeah.
Dumbass. We are writing 8 to 10 articles every other month, which comes out to roughly, let's say, 60. Thank you for pointing that out, Bob. I've made the correction.
Yeah.
I didn't say dumbass to Copilot. Yeah. I'm just saying I did it.
I'm always nice to it.
I'm always nice to it. It was very nice back to me, and I'm thinking, I just corrected it. And from that point on, I expect Copilot to serve that up. Correct. We are teaching AI.
I think that's the point, is like your output is only as good as your input. Yeah. There's, sometimes you ask that a question, and a lot of people think AI doesn't work, and in reality, you're not asking the right questions. And I think that's where like a trained lawyer has the ability to come in and interact with the technology in a way to for the benefit of the client that maybe someone without being legally trained cannot do, because you can't ask the right question. You might get 1 out of 3 questions correct, but the other 2 you're just not seeing because you're not trained in the field.
Okay. Are you going to let the kids out there talk to you directly? Would you give them your email address here at Brommer Law if you have any questions for you directly?
Sure. My name is Eiyack Cacho. So it's the first name, the first part of my email address, EIYACK @bromillerlaw.com. If you have any questions, any comments.
That's nice of you to do that. You may get bombarded. But,
yeah.
Well, I mean, you want to help because you've been down this road and say, guys, fear not. It is not going to take our jobs. Do not change your major.
Yeah.
We're not in some crisis mode with AI. I mean, let's look at this again 5 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee you, we're going to find a way, those of us who are adopting it, and we need to.
Yeah.
We're going to find a way to work with it.
Correct.
To become better at what we do. And we're going to cut through a lot of this administrative stuff on the very lower rungs that this is time consuming. I guarantee you clients are going to appreciate that on the billing aspect of it.
Yeah.
Wow, you got this done a heck of a lot faster than a year ago when I had the same problem with another firm.
Correct.
Well, we use AI to our advantage. Thank you. Because I'm impressed with what AI is. Even I have conversations just about every night with AI.
It's very useful.
It is. And I'm like, I have somebody to talk to now. I think maybe today you're the only one. Victoria's going to sit down with me here in a minute, but you're the only one that's stepping up, and I appreciate it. Everybody else is so busy. I know you're busy too.
Yeah. Thank you very much for the invitation. I had the idea for the segment a while ago, and then once you approached me, I think that this is going to be useful for someone out there.
Oh yeah, I mean, because your last podcast on the intro is doing great. You're heading for like 3,000 views on Monday.
There we go.
Because these university students are interested. I want to hear from somebody who's actually doing it. How are you using AI? How's this going to affect me? Okay, great. I'm on board. Now, let's get our teachers. Let's get the professors to get on board.
Correct.
Train us to hit the ground running with it.
Yeah. I think being, in the entry level of a junior associate kind of position, I think, you're expected maybe because of your age to both be fluent in the substantive part of AI and kind of have access to the knowledge of that technology, but also like know how to use it and being able to teach it to other people. Yep. So I think, that's a place where, upcoming law school students can really dig in and make a mark.
Yeah. Let's do this. So once you get all these emails and you answer these questions, let's come back and do a part 2.
Perfect.
With basically, here are the kind of questions I've been asked. And these are the kind of things we're working together with these various universities around the U.S. that the students are concerned about. We'll do that.
Sounds good.
It will come back and be like you sitting in front of them saying, here's what some of the best questions were,
Yeah.
and I've got the answer.
Perfect.
All right.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it.
Appreciate you stopping by.
All right.
Thanks.